Yeah, how's it going? Today is 11th of October, Friday, and we're going to be taking a look at the market, what kind of opportunities we can find or perhaps take a look at, right? We will try to take a look at perhaps where a lot of attention is as of now. We'll try to not to trigger many people, right? And our approach, at least it should be very common sense. Not necessarily this is the way how things are working for whatever reason, but if we believe for whatever reason some things do not make sense, we'll try to point it out without triggering people, right? And we can begin by taking a look at Lockheed named new F-35 fighter jet program leader, which is great. I was trying to understand a little bit better about the entire program. That would be potentially fighter jets, and if not right now, perhaps in the future, there might be a lot of developments in development next generation of fighter jets, right? The area that I was trying to understand a little bit better, and what would be opportunities perhaps for others to get this kind of role in development of this kind of programs. Perhaps a person would need to have at least 20 years of experience, and then it comes to perhaps some of those areas when it comes to U.S. citizenship due to security clearance. But with citizenship, there comes other things like the U.S. citizens are generally subject to federal income tax on their worldwide income. So perhaps worth pointing out, right? So then we're taking a look at Lockheed Martin or other similar companies. If you or anybody is interested in taking part in this kind of program, perhaps they would receive a lot of incentives, like financial incentives to do it, as well as taxes on worldwide income, which would be packaged perhaps in a way where it would be security clearance. Is it security clearance, or is it actually federal income tax on worldwide income? So it's kind of debatable, I guess, but I don't know. Let's progress and let's take a look at the next article, right? Briefly, I thought it might be worth touching on perhaps some of the articles that was published. Potentially, that Russia says it's ramping up AI-powered drone development. I would rephrase it: development in Russia for use potentially defense purposes, including perhaps in Ukraine. So it just a little bit more clarity, right? Quote unquote. As well as Russia Defense Minister, there's names, but skip all these names, said on Friday AI-enabled drones were playing a key role in battlefields in Ukraine and urged more training for troops on how to use them. Minister published videos him touring the center of next generation of the drone technologies and speaking with drone operators. Why that's important? Since again we're focusing on next generation, perhaps I don't know, but perhaps in the U.S. something that we were taking a look at again. That would be next generation, and who would be building some of these projects potentially? Person who would have at least 20 years of experience, right? At would pay taxes, worldwide taxes in US. Anyway, let's progress. Briefly, I'll touch on it. I won't be going too much down this route since what's happening right now, there might be a lot of reasons why and how this kind of things would function. And there's a lot of politics involved, right? But anyway, things that I haven't understood, that would be SAB and Brazil, what US has to do with anything, if that makes sense. So there's two people making a contract and or purchasing, right? So one's a buyer, one's a seller, and the US is asking about all these details. Cannot they check bank records? Anyway, so it was published in the year hours ago. The U.S. Department of Justice has requested information from subsidiary of Saab over Brazil's purchase of Swedish firm's Gripen fighter jets in 2014, which was a subject to Brazilian corruption probe. Saab said on Thursday. I don't know. So I believe that it's completely different, but anyway. If anything, let's take a look at Saab organization and perhaps if any companies would have expertise when it comes to next generation of fighter jets. Perhaps let's reach out to you, Saab, and perhaps they might offer a job without paying taxes in Sweden, or so to say, right? Perhaps let's progress and let's take a look at Sweden, what's happening with fighter jets in Sweden, right? In just a second, previously we were taking a look at what kind of inventory is Swedish. I know it's just the people who have some operations in Sweden potentially. We were previously taking a look at perhaps, and they might have a lot of jets or a lot of inventory, and they're looking to sell off a lot of inventory and build the next generation. So something Lockheed Martin is looking to do, as we hire a new, I think it was CEO, right? So they're looking to do. Sweden potentially is looking to sell a lot of inventory. Perhaps Sweden gonna be developing next generation, but that's speculation. Anyways, so I thought we could take a look at press releases since for whatever reason Lithuania is looking to support Sabo by purchasing a lot of equipment from Sweden, right? So perhaps we can take a look at what Lithuania is doing. They perhaps Lithuania have too much money. Just let's take a look at how much they're spending. Saab received additional mobile air defense order from Lithuania. Saab has received additional order from Lithuania for the mobile short-range air defense solution. The order value in okay, so that would be Swedish krona, and that would be 1.2 billion. And our deliveries are scheduled for 26 and 29 later in the year. Perhaps all this information is publicly available, by the way, right? We can take a look at more into this order. Well, we can take a look at what Lithuania is doing when it comes to parliamentary elections. Let's take a look at that instead. After Lithuania is to pick new parliament in elections clouded by economic angst and or potential Russia fears. So perhaps Lithuania should consider how to develop these kind of capabilities themselves instead of purchasing a lot of hardware. It's the second time covering Lithuania and some of the spending that Lithuania is doing. We can briefly take a look at other things that Lithuania is doing. What that would be. Lithuania mandates gender balance in leadership positions, right? So that would be potentially third of leadership in Lithuania. That would be very, very key positions, very important positions. If instead of being more balanced in our perspective, that would be perhaps skills and or know-how. So perhaps Lithuania should focus more on how to develop those leaders, right? Instead of forcing companies to hire more women, perhaps how to offer more training, so mentorship and on-hands experience. And from there, businesses would look for women to hire, not to be forced to hire women into those roles. So that's a different approach. So, anyways, we can come back to elections and perhaps a new parliament for whatever reason. Perhaps this is the time for new parliament. Just to closing this video, perhaps maybe not on the best note, but this is where things are. Right, Lithuania to elect new parliament on Sunday. Positions, social democratic, though. Okay, that's a little bit political, I guess. But anyway, when it comes to leadership, perhaps there is a time for changes that Lithuania are expected to punish. That central. Okay. There's a lot of political jargon. Options pools for new main opposition for Social Democrats. Okay. And most likely, most likely people themselves, current parliament in Lithuania, do understand there's a time of change. But anyways, the Social Democrats also supporting the defense spending. The party's deputy leader okay. Suggested it could raise further 5% for national output from 3%. This year, Lithuania upgrade its armed forces and builds a new base for 5,000 combat-ready German troops due to open in 2027. So they are spending so much for whatever reason, right? Which is not a smart decision. They're not building capabilities, but they're spending And this is a parliament for whatever reason. This is not enough that they weakening leadership positions in all the companies. That's not enough. By forcing hiring potentially incompetent people without experience, knowledge, but based on gender, as well as spending. We're looking to increase spending or purchasing from other governments, including U.S., Scandinavian countries, perhaps Germany as well, all this kind of thing. So it is time for change, I would say, when it comes to some of the current leadership, right? Let's close on that. Thanks for watching. See you next one.